Retro Road Test, Toyota Carina vs Mazda 626. When it comes to Japanese mid-sized sedans from the late 20th century, two names frequently surface in discussions, the Toyota Carina and the Mazda 626. These cars represented the core of what Japanese automakers did best during that era, building reliable, affordable, and user-friendly vehicles that appealed to a wide range of buyers. Both the Carina and the 626 became symbols of durability and practicality, with each offering its unique blend of style, performance, and innovation. This road test comparison will delve into the design, performance, interior comfort, handling, reliability, and overall driving experience of the Toyota Carina and Mazda 626, helping you understand what made these cars so popular and how they stack up against each other. 1. Historical context and market positioning. Before diving into the specifics of the road test, it's important to understand the market positioning and historical significance of these two vehicles. Toyota Carina. The Toyota Carina was introduced in 1970 as a compact sedan, slotting between the smaller Corolla and the larger Corona in Toyota's lineup. Over the years, it evolved to become a more substantial mid-sized sedan, particularly by the time of the 1990s models, which this road test focuses on. The Carina was designed to be practical and economical, appealing to families and professionals looking for a no-nonsense vehicle. It shared many components with the Corona, but was often marketed as a slightly sportier alternative, with more emphasis on driving dynamics while still retaining Toyota's famed reliability. Mazda 626. The Mazda 626, known as the Capella in Japan, debuted in 1970 as well, competing directly with the likes of the Toyota Carina. By the time the 1990s rolled around, the 626 had established itself as a versatile mid-sized sedan, known for its refined handling and innovative features. Mazda positioned the 626 as a driver-focused vehicle, with a reputation for offering a more engaging driving experience compared to its rivals, while still maintaining the reliability and affordability expected from a Japanese car. 2. Exterior design and build quality. Toyota Carina. The design of the Toyota Carina, especially in its late 90s iterations, was conservative but subtly stylish. The car featured clean lines, a relatively low belt line, and a well-proportioned body. The front end was dominated by a simple grille flanked by rectangular headlights, giving the Carina a mature and somewhat understated appearance. The build quality was excellent, as expected from Toyota, with tight panel gaps and a solid feel to the doors and trunk. The paint quality held up well over time, with many Carinas from this era still looking good even after years of use. One of the highlights of the Carina's design was its aerodynamic efficiency. Toyota paid attention to reducing drag, which not only improved fuel efficiency but also contributed to a quieter cabin at speed. The Carina also benefited from Toyota's reputation for rust resistance, which made it a durable choice in various climates. Mazda 626. The Mazda 626 of the same era took a slightly different approach to design. Mazda opted for a more dynamic and sporty look, with a sleeker profile and more aggressive front-end styling. The 626 featured a curvier design language, with a sloping hood, pronounced wheel arches, and a more sculpted rear end. The headlights were more angular, and the grille was smaller, giving the car a more modern and youthful appearance compared to the Carina. Build quality on the 626 was also commendable, with Mazda's attention to detail evident in the car's construction. The materials used in the exterior were of high quality, and the car's paint seemed to resist fading and wear well over time. While not as conservative as the Carina, the 626's design still maintained a level of subtlety that appealed to a wide audience, from younger drivers to families looking for something a bit more stylish. 3. Interior design, comfort, and features. Toyota Carina. Inside the Toyota Carina, the focus was clearly on functionality and comfort. The interior design was straightforward, with an emphasis on ease of use and durability. The dashboard featured large, easy-to-read gauges and logically arranged controls. The materials used were mostly soft-touch plastics and cloth upholstery, which, while not luxurious, were of high quality and showed little wear over time. Seating comfort in the Carina was excellent, with well-padded seats that provided good support for both short trips and long drives. The cabin was spacious, particularly in the front, where legroom and headroom were more than adequate. The rear seats, while not as spacious as those in some larger sedans, still offered enough room for adult passengers, making the Carina a practical choice for families. In terms of features, the Carina was well equipped for its time. Higher trims offered power windows, power mirrors, air conditioning, and even a CD player, which was a notable feature in the 90s. The sound system, while not particularly advanced by today's standards, provided clear audio quality. Toyota also paid attention to noise insulation, making the Carina's cabin a relatively quiet place to be, even at highway speeds. Mazda 626. The Mazda 626's interior took a more driver-oriented approach, with a slightly more modern design compared to the Carina. The dashboard was more contoured, with controls angled toward the driver, emphasizing the 626's sportier nature. The materials used were a mix of soft-touch plastics and higher-grade fabrics, giving the interior a more upscale feel compared to the Carina. The 626's seats were designed with a focus on bolstering and support, reflecting the car's emphasis on handling and driving dynamics. While the seats were firm, they were comfortable, particularly for those who enjoyed a more engaged driving position. The 626 also offered ample space in the front seats, though the rear seats were slightly more cramped compared to the Carina, especially in terms of legroom. Mazda equipped the 626 with a similar range of features as the Carina, including power accessories, air conditioning, and a decent audio system. One area where the 626 stood out was in its availability of more advanced options, such as an optional sunroof and upgraded sound systems in higher trims. The interior was also well insulated against road and wind noise, though the Mazda's slightly firmer suspension setup meant that more bumps were felt in the cabin compared to the softer riding Carina. 4. Engine performance and transmission. Toyota Carina. Under the hood, the Toyota Carina was typically offered with a range of 4-cylinder engines, depending on the market. The most common engine found in the Carina during the 90s was the 1.8-liter inline-4, which produced around 115 horsepower. This engine was paired with either a 5-speed manual or a 4-speed automatic transmission. The Carina's engine was tuned for efficiency and reliability rather than outright performance. It provided adequate power for daily driving, with smooth acceleration and a decent mid-range punch that made it easy to merge onto highways or overtake slower traffic. The manual transmission was particularly well suited to the Carina, offering smooth shifts and a light clutch that made it easy to drive in traffic. The automatic, while less engaging, was refined and responsive enough for most driving situations. Fuel efficiency was one of the Carina's strong suits, with the 1.8-liter engine returning impressive miles per gallon, particularly when paired with the manual transmission. This made the Carina an economical choice for long commutes or frequent city driving. Mazda 626. The Mazda 626 offered a more diverse range of engines, catering to a broader spectrum of buyers. The base models came with a 1.8-liter or 2.0-liter 4-cylinder engine, with the latter producing around 125 horsepower. However, for those looking for more performance, Mazda also offered a 2.5-liter V6 engine that delivered 164 horsepower, making the 626 one of the more powerful options in its class. The 4-cylinder engines in the 626 were smooth and responsive, providing slightly better acceleration than the Carina's 1.8-liter engine, particularly with the larger 2.0-liter option. However, the real star was the V6, which transformed the 626 into a more spirited and engaging car to drive. The V6 provided strong acceleration and made the 626 feel quicker and more agile, particularly on twisty roads. Mazda also offered both manual and automatic transmissions, with the manual being the preferred choice for driving enthusiasts. The manual gearbox in the 626 was one of the best in its class, with short, precise shifts and a clutch that provided excellent feedback. The automatic transmission was competent, though it tended to dull the performance of the more powerful engine slightly. In terms of fuel efficiency, the 626's four-cylinder engines were comparable to the Carina, offering good economy in both city and highway driving. The V6, while more powerful, naturally consumed more fuel, but it was still reasonable for a car of its class and performance level. 5. Ride and handling. Toyota Carina. The Toyota Carina was designed with comfort in mind, and this was evident in its ride quality. The suspension was tuned to absorb bumps and imperfections in the road, providing a smooth and cushioned ride. This made the Carina an excellent choice for those who prioritized comfort over sporty handling. The car remained composed over rough surfaces, and road noise was kept to a minimum, contributing to a relaxing driving experience. However, this focus on comfort meant that the Carina's handling was more on the soft side. While the steering was light and easy to maneuver, it lacked the directness and feedback that driving enthusiasts might desire. The car exhibited some body roll in corners, and while it remained predictable and safe, it didn't offer the same level of engagement as some of its competitors. For most drivers, though, the Carina's comfortable ride and easygoing nature were exactly what they were looking for. It was a car that excelled in daily commuting and long-distance driving, where comfort and reliability were more important than razor-sharp handling. Mazda 626. In contrast, the Mazda 626 was more focused on providing an engaging driving experience. The suspension was firmer than the Carina's, resulting in better handling characteristics. The 626 felt more planted in corners, with less body roll and more responsive steering. This made the Mazda a more enjoyable car to drive on twisty roads or when navigating through city traffic. The trade-off for this improved handling was a slightly firmer ride. While the 626 was by no means uncomfortable, it did transmit more road imperfections into the cabin compared to the Carina. However, for drivers who valued handling over pure ride comfort, this was a compromise worth making. The 626's handling prowess was particularly evident with the V6 engine, where the additional power made the car feel even more lively and responsive. The manual transmission further enhanced this experience, allowing drivers to fully exploit the car's dynamic capabilities. 6. Reliability and maintenance. Toyota Carina. Toyota's reputation for reliability was one of the Carina's strongest selling points. The car was known for its bulletproof reliability, with many examples racking up hundreds of thousands of miles with minimal issues. The engines were robust, and the transmissions were long-lasting, particularly the manual gearbox. Regular maintenance was straightforward and inexpensive, thanks to the Carina's simple design and the wide availability of parts. Owners of the Carina often reported that the car required little more than routine maintenance, such as oil changes, brake replacements, and tire rotations. Major mechanical issues were rare, and when they did occur, they were typically easy to diagnose and repair. This made the Carina an excellent choice for those looking for a car that they could depend on for years without worrying about costly repairs. Mazda 626. The Mazda 626 was also a reliable vehicle, though it didn't quite match the Carina's reputation for longevity. The 626's engines, particularly the four-cylinder units, were durable and capable of providing many miles of trouble-free service. The V6 engine, while more powerful, required a bit more attention, particularly in terms of regular oil changes and timing belt replacements. One area where the 626 required more attention was its suspension components. Due to the car's firmer setup, parts such as struts and bushings tended to wear out more quickly than in the Carina. However, These issues were generally not severe, and regular maintenance could prevent most problems. The manual transmissions in the 626 were robust and often lasted the life of the car with proper care. The automatic transmissions were reliable but could develop issues if not properly maintained, particularly in cars with higher mileage. Overall, the 626 was a reliable vehicle, but it required a bit more attention to maintenance compared to the Carina. For those who were willing to invest the time and effort, the 626 provided a rewarding ownership experience. 7 Safety features and crashworthiness. Toyota Carina. Safety was an important consideration for Toyota when designing the Carina. The car featured a reinforced body structure, which provided good protection in the event of a crash. Standard safety features included driver and passenger airbags, anti-lock brakes, ABS, and seat belt pretensioners. Some models also offered side impact airbags, which were a relatively new feature at the time. In crash tests, the Carina performed well for its class, offering good protection for occupants in frontal and side impacts. The car's predictable handling and stable ride also contributed to its safety, making it easier to avoid accidents in the first place. Mazda 626. The Mazda 626 was also equipped with a range of safety features, including dual airbags, ABS, and side impact protection beams. Higher trims offered additional features such as traction control and side airbags, which were becoming more common in mid-sized sedans of the era. The 626's handling prowess also contributed to its safety, allowing drivers to maintain control in emergency situations. In crash tests, the 626 performed similarly to the Carina, offering good protection in frontal impacts. However, its slightly sportier nature meant that drivers could potentially find themselves in more dynamic driving situations, where the car's handling would be put to the test. Overall, both the Carina and the 626 were safe vehicles for their time, offering a range of features that provided good occupant protection and contributed to peace of mind on the road. 8 Ownership experience and market value. Toyota Carina. Owners of the Toyota Carina often praised the car for its reliability, comfort, and low cost of ownership. The Carina was a car that required little fuss, simply doing its job day in and day out without complaint. The availability of parts and the simplicity of maintenance made it an inexpensive car to keep on the road. In terms of market value, the Carina held its value well, thanks to its reputation for reliability. Even as the years went by, used Carinas remained in demand, particularly among buyers looking for a dependable and economical car. Mazda 626. The Mazda 626 provided a slightly different ownership experience, with more emphasis on driving enjoyment. Owners often cited the car's handling and performance as key reasons for choosing the 626. While it required a bit more attention to maintenance, the rewards in terms of driving enjoyment made it a worthwhile trade-off for many. The 626 also held its value reasonably well, particularly models with the V6 engine and manual transmission, which were sought after by enthusiasts. However, the car's more complex nature and the slightly higher maintenance costs meant that it didn't retain its value quite as well as the Carina in the long term. 9 Conclusion. In the end, the choice between the Toyota Carina and the Mazda 626 comes down to what you value most in a car. The Carina excels in reliability, comfort, and ease of ownership, making it an ideal choice for those who prioritize dependability and low running costs. It's a car that will get you from point A to point B with minimal fuss and will continue to do so for many years with proper care. On the other hand, the Mazda 626 offers a more engaging driving experience, with better handling, more powerful engine options, and a slightly more upscale interior. It's a car that appeals to those who enjoy driving and are willing to invest a bit more time and effort into maintenance to get the most out of their vehicle. Both cars are excellent examples of what made Japanese mid-sized sedans so popular in the 1990s. Whether you choose the Toyota Carina or the Mazda 626, you're getting a car that was built to last and designed to offer a satisfying ownership experience.